G'day taxpayers. My favourite leading indicator for global inflation, the CRB index of commodity prices, is sending out a bit of a disconcerting signal to me. And I think it's worth sort of noting in the context of what's happening in the US with the Trump destruction of the US economy and what's happening to the bond markets, that the CRB index is actually starting to suggest that global inflation risks will be skewed up, not down, through the course of 2025. And even though growth is weak and it doesn't really have an impact on monetary policy just yet, the fact that the CRB index of commodity prices has hit a 15-year high and that it's up 16% since August last year and up 32% from less than 2 years ago is sending a signal to me that there's something brewing in the commodity space. Now, it's very different. The CRB index is very different to the RBA index of commodity prices. The RBA index does capture the stuff that we in Australia export, and so it has a very high weighting for iron ore, for example, but does not include things like orange juice, which we don't export much of. So the CRB index, which captures these agricultural commodities, is really exploding, and it is this food side of the CRB index which is increasing. So if I just glance down at where these huge increases have occurred over recent times, it's things like milk, orange juice, coffee, cocoa, tea, sunflower oil, rapeseed, barley, and beef and eggs. They've all increased, and to the extent that that goes into food manufacturing and the consumer price index and the inflation rate that central banks around the world monitor, it is actually starting to signal that that deceleration in inflation that was coming to an end anyway might sort of start to tick up. Again, I'm not throwing in the towel yet, but it's interesting just to see this coming through. The other thing, of course, is that freight rates and the like, the services, the logistics type things have increased in price too. So that was an issue clearly during the COVID pandemic, and while they're still well below those peak levels, there's a turning point occurring. So just a little bit of a warning signal, and I know the bond markets are factoring in a whole lot of concern about inflation rates and the like, but the CRB index, keep an eye on it. If it keeps increasing, then it bodes poorly for yet lower inflation when we get to the latter part of 2025.